Hi, everyone. Welcome to the HUMBL shareholder update. Please take a minute to read our safe harbor statement. Thank you. Welcome to HUMBL, a Web3 commerce platform. So we're HUMBL. We're an early stage public company in an early stage field of Web3. Just please be aware if you are doing your due diligence or are a shareholder that we are very early stage. We went public much earlier than other technology companies. That was by design, but it is fairly novel, and it means that we have less mature revenue streams, less mature product lines, and we're building the future. So just be aware that we will need to pivot and be flexible on the path. As Kevin O'Leary would say, if you don't know how to pivot in business, you're going to zero. So there will be times where we need to adjust our path on the trail forward just to meet the market conditions, survive in advance, and deliver products that are great into the market. So bear with us on that, please, and be aware of that if you are a shareholder or do decide to become. We will also work to fail fast, meaning there's just stuff that we're going to try that's not going to work, period. Great baseball players make the Hall of Fame batting 300 at the plate, and that's never your goal, but certainly we are realists and we're certainly humans, and we make plenty of mistakes, and we just want to make them quickly so that we can know what's working and what's not. And we can fail fast on the stuff that isn't, and we can double down on the stuff that is working, both with you and the consumer markets and then clients behind the scenes. It's hard for me. I'd love to have a GoPro on my head and carry around my day, just in terms of the work product that's going on here at the company, the meetings that we're having outbound with people, getting their feedback, helping us with our product architecture, and learning more about what they want as customers from Web3 as we help design that. So it's pretty cool what's going on at the business. So certainly the stuff we're building will be informed by client feedback, and that helps us know, take a shot at what's going to work and what's not in the market. That being said, we are going to try to have shorter and more frequent updates for shareholders. As you know, we occupied a really quiet stance during the S1 process, and we feel like we're getting close enough on the S1 now that we can have a little bit of a communication stance that's a bit more interactive with our shareholders. It's always been my goal to build a unique company where we had a really direct relationship with our shareholders. I want to get back to that and give you guys, the good, bad, the ugly of the business, and building this living organism that's a company in Web3 and so on. And so expect to see from us more frequent updates now that we're getting a little closer here on the S1. An example of that would be the Blocks Talk segment that we put out just a few minutes ago. So this shareholder call may be a little late in getting posted, but it was because we were just getting out that Blocks Talk that shows you a view of the HUMBL Wallet product that we have pending now in review on the App Store. So expect more of those little quick bites. I'm going to do a Blocks Talk about some certain segments in the business where when I started looking at the shareholder call on the itinerary for the call, it just got way too long. So I'll do some breakout sessions about different elements of our business as well. So keep an eye out for that and expect more frequent communications from HUMBL. Okay, so why are we building HUMBL? We are building HUMBL because we want to create an environment that makes Web3 easier to discover. So right now we see Web3 as being really hard to discover. You have high profile people tweeting, "Where's Web3? I can't find it." And they're not wrong, by the way. It's also hard to transact on, right? If the premise of Web3 is to read, write, transact, and verify, then we've got to make the transact and verify piece a bit easier for people. Right now we get the customer feedback that the tools that are out there, the wallets, etc., the early ones, no offense to them, they're just early, are complex and disconnected. So we're trying to improve upon those. And again, Web3 is an ecosystem that has many different plugin partners, so please be aware of that. Web 2 was very centralized. It created tenants or renters on the web, as I like to call them, where they were basically prescribing to you how you were going to get your data used, what privacy parameters were going to be ascribed to you, and how they were going to monetize you on the web. So just keep in mind that Web3 is decentralized, and therefore by nature, it's more of a living organism with different partners. Some of them may come and go and so on, but we're always studying how best to integrate with our ecosystem partners on Web3 while distilling it down into something really simple to use for people over time. And then also working on quality controls, meaning if you can't verify in a decentralized environment the transaction you're performing on a peer-to-peer level, then a decentralized web isn't very worthwhile. So we are also working on ways of creating quality controls around verification for everything ranging from digital assets like NFTs to physical goods that exchange between people. So the solutions that we are presenting at HUMBL and started to interconnect just today, actually, in some cool ways, are the HUMBL wallet. That's a connected wallet for customers. Again, our branded HUMBL wallet is still pending review in the app stores. So in the meantime, you can use Wallet Connect, which brings in over 100 different wallet products for you to use on top of things like our search engine. Next, we have a HUMBL search engine that provides that simple front door for consumers. So giving them a simple way to discover Web3, get into it, and start to use it and understand it. So that will be everything. Again, some of this is long-term, so I'll define that for you. But for right now, that's cross-chain NFT lookup. You have web, news, images, video, some crypto charts and things like that. But we will be constantly adding new Web3 features to the search engine. And then lastly, you have the marketplace. So rolling in some of our product lines like the NFT gallery underneath search, where you have the search engine as a discovery layer, and then an entirely tokenized marketplace underneath that, where you start to get this token gated commerce between people or people and brands or people and organizations. So really fun stuff, very interrelated product lines. You can't have one without the other. And the reason why we are building these is we view these as the three most vital tools to building a read, write, transact, and verify web on Web3. So that's what we're doing, guys, helping consumers find and use Web3. It's a big, thorny challenge. It's not going to happen overnight. A lot of what we do needs to be viewed in a long-term way, but it's something that we're really passionate about, is taking a public company construct like HUMBL and then starting to sit it on top of these really new decentralized rail systems that we think pose some pretty good opportunities for people to remove middlemen, eliminate a bit of bureaucracy, and so on in their transaction layers. So that's what we're working on with Web3, is building a web that is a more cohesive set of exchange on these things that we call tokens or blocks that will breed, our company thesis anyway, is that it's going to breed this whole new tokenized economy between people. And that's exciting, like I said, because it may breed more efficient transaction loads. But it also is really cool when you go to conferences and things to see how it's also bringing people together from around the world as well to build this Web3. So again, the way I've sort of set up HUMBL as a view is that we really view HUMBL as a Web 2.5 company. I was talking to one of the co-founders of Ethereum the other day on Zoom, and he said, man, why don't you just wing it out there on Web3 and forget all this centralized pubco stuff and all that. And I know where he's going with that. Trust me, there's some days. But I'll tell you, I think, the reason why we're doing this with HUMBL is we wanted to have a public company that started to run decentralized rails here in the United States. We don't think that happens overnight. That's why we're putting in the hard yards with the S1 and the SEC to try to give a view of, hey, here's how a public company can start to run on some more decentralized rails. And then you have sort of these Web3 constructs like DAOs, for example, where you start to have now legally registered DAOs and things coming out of Wyoming. I was a proud contributor of one of the first legally registered DAOs in Wyoming called Blocks. So very, very happy to contribute to that and to walk the path on thinking through, how we move from sort of hardcore Web 2 FANG companies that are prescribing to you how your data is used, how you are monetized, what your experience is like on the web, or how they portray you on the web on search engines, and starting to give people back some more control of their privacy, of their preferences, and then also how they are able to control their decentralized presence on the web, as well as new economies that will come from that in peer-to-peer trade and so on. So really, really fun, exciting stuff. A lot of elephant to eat here. I know that sounds cliche, but it is a big, big thing that we're working on, and we hope to find sort of short, mid, and long-term ways to deliver that for you on the consumer side, and certainly to drive value for our shareholders. So you'll hear me talk throughout the piece about this being a transactional web, meaning, you know, you have read as web one, read and write as web two. So if you look at some of the, you know, some of them $1 trillion web two companies, it was, you know, post a picture, leave a comment, type in a search, get some results, post a video, leave a comment, these kinds of things. So when you get into transact and verify, you now start to talk about a tokenization layer. There's some early iterations of that are breeding new economies, right? Like NFTs. I think a lot of people are too focused on the content of the NFT right now. They're going, why would I want to trade an ape? That's like focusing on one individual component of a website when you're staring at, I think, the late 90s opportunities of a lot of things in a lot of sectors that will become tokenized. Again, we may be right, we may be wrong, but that's just our thesis as a company, is that the Web3 tokenized economy has some promise to breed new, entirely new markets that are out there, and of which you will have more control. So you start to think about things like your Web3 wallet with verifiable credentials that define on a tokenized level who you are, both in the terrestrial world and in the metaverse, to transact and verify between people. And that gets really fun. You start to get out of leather wallets with charge cards and checkbooks and start to think about having a Web3 wallet. And again, please watch that Blocks talk that we just published, giving you a tour, a product tour of that. You get that Web3 wallet that then comes into things like search engines or websites where you can start to transact in value on Web3, verifying who you are. So we believe that will touch everything from peer-to-peer to government help desks and so on. Again, both on normal websites and in the metaverse. So really exciting stuff when you start to contemplate a wallet, a blockchain-enabled search engine, and then the marketplace pieces underneath that, where people or organizations will begin to transact in a tokenized layer that's just a bit more frictionless potentially than some of the traditional sort of routing constructs that we have right now for commerce, whether that's e-commerce or payments and settlements and exchanges, things like that. So really fun stuff that we think will come forward over the coming years. So you start to build out this transactional web, meaning, you know, we sort of had charge cards in the 1950s. You start to see fiat peer-to-peer come online in the early 2000s with the big players like PayPal. And then now you have blockchain tokenization in the 2020s that bears constructing for customers and putting it in their hands so they can start to drive a bit more value for themselves on the web. And that's what we're doing here at HUMBL. So the product lines that we launched in the first, call it, year and a half that we've been public are the HUMBL Pay mobile wallet, Search 3, which is a cross-chain search engine. You have the HUMBL NFT gallery and HUMBL Tickets. So again, the HUMBL Pay mobile app, excuse me, I referred to it as the wallet, but that's a separate product. So the HUMBL Pay mobile app, Search 3, the cross-chain search engine, the HUMBL NFT gallery, which has both main chain and side chain capabilities, now running on its own SDK. Search 3 has cross-chain capabilities with Ethereum, Blocks, Gnosis, Polygon, meaning you can look up an NFT in new ways there, like contract or wallet address. So some cool ways that we're trying to pioneer the blockchain space for search engines, and then the HUMBL Tickets piece. So you will see in the coming slides that we're working to consolidate those product lines. So we also acquired 4 companies in our first, like I said, just roughly call it year and a half of being public. You have BizSecure, which is a verifiable credentials company. You have Ixaya, which is going to be serving a lot of our tech loads there in Latin America, finding a bit more reduced labor rates there so we can beef up more our tech teams. Monster, which deals in entertainment space up in LA, so helping package and put to trailers a lot of the big feature films out there in LA. And then Tickery, of course, which is a leader in Latin American ticketing for the North American market. So we continue to just pick these sort of accretive environments that we think will fit our thesis, both currently and in coming years, from either a technology perspective, like a BizSecure with verifiable credentials in the wallet, Ixaya, the technology teams reducing costs and increasing staffing loads on technology, as well as Monster and Tickery on some things. So we really pick those spots and try to have some accretive things, and we always stay on the lookout for M&A. We've generally grown quarterly revenues since going public, so we're happy about that. But again, you had COVID, come in and stay pretty hot even into this new year, which was frustrating and I know for all of us and sad for those that lost people. I just never thought that COVID was going to continue to set records domestically into 22. So it's no good, but we keep moving forward through it and trying to grow revenues, which is a big focus for us in the upcoming year. In terms of our corporate strategy, there is no doubt that market conditions have been challenging. You saw a lot of really hot stocks during that kind of COVID trading hype cycle that have come way back to earth. So, you had a global pandemic that continued into 22. You have technology and blockchain oriented stocks that have declined really heavily across the board. And then you have these sort of ancillary crypto markets that are down significantly as well in the digital asset space. So market conditions, no doubt, have been challenging. There's no sugarcoating that, but we just keep grinding through it. The ways we are adapting our business to get through it and keep moving are developing scalable core technologies that we control. When you're starting this business and you're thinking about Web 2 and Web 2.5 and Web 3, there's always a sort of give-get about how much more life cycle is there in credit cards, how much fiat business do we need to serve, and how quickly can we move to our end state thesis of Web 3 tokenization. So certainly one of our quick learnings that we want to establish very quickly and did so by doing things like building the search engine and starting to roll out our own HUMBL wallet is that we want to develop scalable core technologies that we control. We are also working to consolidate our product lines, reducing overhead and integrating them into the search engine, which had almost 2 million searches in its first month alone last month. We therefore are reducing costs and working to drive revenues while raising additional capital. I sense that some of the competition is on the back foot right now, and we'd love to build faster and harder against that to serve customers in Web3. And again, we continue to hunt for intelligent M&A additions to the company as well. So we will announce those if and when they come forward in a concrete capacity. Again, I mentioned we are reducing our third-party dependence and variables. There's no doubt, guys, a couple of things here. I know I focus a lot on Web3 tokenization with the wallet, the search engine, and the tokenized marketplaces. But there's no doubt fiat peer-to-peer is extremely expensive. It is something I would like to deliver to the market. I do think it would help us acquire customers. I do think there's still a need for it, even though the blue ocean strategy is in Web3. But please know it's expensive. There are many compliance requirements. You would be very surprised at the amount of law firms and compliance vendors and operationalized compliance loads that we need to achieve in order to roll out. So we're thankful for our banking as a service partners. We continue to try to put the pieces together to finalize that in terms of having all the requirements ready to go out and run a good program that's free of any kind of regulatory issues, fines, things like that, where you just don't want to have a foot fault when you roll out a product like that. Handling people's money is very serious, and especially in 50 states worth of licensure and things like that, you got to really think through stuff like that. And I don't want to compromise our business just to get one feature out the door. So know that we're working on it. It is something I want to get out. We are working hard on that. But as usual, things cost more and take longer than you would have expected, and we'll keep you posted on any changes there. Secondly, we contemplated when we were first rolling out the company having a deeper focus on global merchant expansion. As I mentioned, amazingly, COVID continued to set records, even domestically, into the early 2022s. Frustrating, but I think it was actually a blessing in disguise. We just don't feel like we have enough control over merchant expansion. It's hard to get data. Every merchant has their own set of variables, and so it's a very attractive concept to think through. Hey, can we eliminate credit cards? Can we get good quality non-algorithmic stablecoins like USDC out of a credit card loop? Get them having yield on the backside overnight while they're storing in stablecoins. Implications for central bank digital currencies. So I do think there's something there for sure with global merchants. But for right now, given our cap structure, given kind of these stop and go environments with brick and mortar shrinking and COVID continuing to be a big thing. Global merchant expansion right now is just proving expensive, cumbersome, hard to control, and too far reaching. So that's just something I want to, let you know about. We'll do some Blocks Talk breakouts about things like NFTs and partners and things like that, because I know some of our legacy shareholders want very granular updates on, even though we will have many partners, of course, with the search engine and the wallet. They want granular updates on some of the historical partners, even those that predated us going public. For example, we tried to buy a company called DIPL, where we went through a process. We expressed to them, we signed some documents, we expressed to them an interest in acquiring them, but we just never got past the preliminary document stage. And while that was going on, and while we were trying to negotiate with them, we studied as well other companies in India that had gone public. And you start to see it's very competitive. The margins, there's low to no margin in some of these things, highly cost compressed, very hard to penetrate. So, sometimes these things can end up being a blessing in disguise in terms of that. So just know that we will give you some updates there, but the regions to focus on right now in terms of our focus for expansion. You saw today that we started leaning in now to our Oceania region partner, tucking into the search engine all the way through the Wallet Connect product, the advertising on the search engine, rolling out NFTs for the gold medal captain in Fiji. So really exciting stuff that drive all the way down from the discovery layer, the transaction layer, and the revenue layer. That's the stuff we're focusing on. So although we appreciate all of our partners by region, and we're constantly putting in groundwork to be ready to go, the two regions that we can afford to focus on right now, and with whom we have been, we have excellent relationships, are the LATAM region with the Aurea Group, and the Oceania region, which you saw on display today with our first Web3 full funnel transaction, going from discovery on the search engine, the Wallet Connect product, getting you into the NFT environment and buying the NFT and putting in your wallet. So full funnel Web3 transaction, thanks to our strong Oceania region partner. So those will be our initial focus for expansion, starting even just today with the program that we rolled out. So in terms of the product roadmap, you'll see us condensing the product line. We do want to find a way ultimately to try to get into one product for the pay program, meaning right now you have these sort of disparate environments where you have a pay app where you can buy and send up to 20 digital assets, Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDC, etc., peer-to-peer. And then you have this HUMBL wallet, right? So right now that's through Wallet Connect, meaning major wallets like MetaMask and Coinbase. But over time, we hope pending approval, if and when we get approval from the app stores, you will also have a HUMBL wallet product there. So over time on the roadmap, we would like to have your verifiable credentials there. We'd like you to be able to use that wallet not only on the regular web, but also across the metaverse and so on. So I think, in the years to come, you will see us making a very marked effort to try to consolidate into one HUMBL wallet. Whether or not the Web3 consumer starts to do more KYC and AML, or the Web2 consumer starts to adopt Web3 wallets a bit more, we think that's sort of where the blue ocean strategy is. But for right now, we'll continue to run the pay app and the HUMBL wallet. In the middle, you have the search engine. So very excited. We've built one of the first ever cross-chain search engines where you can start to do some direct NFT lookup on Ethereum, Blocks, Gnosis, etc. And then we drill down into this marketplace layer. So as customers come into Search 3, we want them drilling down into the marketplace, whether they're looking for real estate, whether they're looking for NFTs. We want them looking for things that they want to discover and transact in value on Web3. So that's where we'll put our brands to work, individuals, corporations, starting to build out both those individual layers with tokenized landing pages, but also for brands and corporations that want to dominate categories. You'll see that popping up as well. So really nice consolidated product line that I'm referring to as a Web3 commerce platform. So here you have it. There's the HUMBL wallet, transact and verify on top of the read and write web. You have search, which is Web3 features and product improvements, and then the marketplace where we start to drive both advertising and transactional revenues. So today we launched the first example of that. We've got the advertising campaign there for Semi Radraja, who's the Fijian gold medal captain. It's on our search engine. You connect the wallet, you go to his detail page, what we'll call product detail pages, and you'll start to hear me talking about that in calls. So you go to his product detail page and you start to have some tokenized detail page behavior. So what we really see is that token gated pages, meaning right now you can go on Web2, big tech, and find a product and get it shipped to your door. We now start to move into these token gated landing page environments where either Semi or his agent can start to manage his persona both on Search 3 and then outbound on other landing pages that are tokenized as purveyed to him by HUMBL. But what we're calling that is the HUMBL Pro account. So meaning this is just kind of a long-term roadmap view. I'm using Miles as an example just because we've announced that we're doing an NFT collection with him. But what gets really exciting here is so you have the wallet here, right? That's the transacted verified web wallet. Then you have the search engine here, and you start to get into these client managed or agent managed or corporate managed or brand managed modular tokenized landing pages. So you see that living at search3.com/flash95. We will be tokenizing these outbound so they can live on other pages as well. So taking perhaps an athlete's landing page, for example, and putting it on his foundation page, where you can then click in on his NFTs and go to buy them in this environment. So starting to build these token gated landing pages that will have things like about, NFTs, verified merchandise, etc. People start to get these connected wallet accounts. So a flash95.eth, for example, I'll encourage all of our HUMBL shareholders to get their .eth going. And that will breed things like direct chat, tokenized commerce, etc., either peer-to-peer or just in a generalized shopping environment where you're buying it from a personal brand that's issued it on the search engine. So again, long-term view, this is stuff that we are openly working on right now. But I just wanted to give you kind of a roadmap view of how that's shaking out. I got to study a lot of what Web2 commerce looked like in previous jobs. And so applying some of the things that worked about Web2 commerce and moving them into from e-commerce to b-commerce, blockchain commerce here at HUMBL and with the HUMBL Pro dashboard account. Again, on a very long-term view, what you'll start to see is, key social media announcements. So often you see photoshopped announcements about people and so on. So we will start to give people verified accounts where they can mint and tokenize announcements, launch NFT collections, have top stories, photos, images, etc. You got the HUMBL Wallet, or right now the Wallet Connect product that's available for tracking and payment in over 100 countries on Web3, and then you can manage your wallet account from that. So again, you start to contemplate. Right now, search engines prescribe to you how you are positioned on Web2. So that's pretty gnarly when you think about it. And I think what we want to do is try to have an environment where you can not only monetize yourself or your corporation or your brand, but you can start to effectively have commerce between you, more direct interactions between you and customers, you and fans, etc. So you start to see these tokenized environments where people can issue landing pages, NFT collections, and start to move from Web2 e-commerce to Web3 b-commerce with HUMBL and their HUMBL Pro account. So here's some distribution pathways that you can have. You've got the landing page. You saw that with Semi today. You start to run some advertising on the search engine. Again, this landing page can live in multiple places as long as it tucks back in to where the Buy Now button leads them on the wallet product. You can have some advertising campaigns, keyword campaigns, etc. So really fun. I think it's definitely one of the first ever full funnel Web3 ecosystems that's ever been built. And I think we're setting a nice model for taking a lot of what worked in the past from FANG and then bringing it forward into Web3 blockchain commerce. Here's just an eye popper of a view, but I want you all to see it just so you know where we're going in the years ahead. You have things that come off of this discovery layer, right? So again, going back to the beginning of the call, Web3 hard to find, hard to use. So we've got the discovery layer here, in the funnel, what we call the funnel. You got the main page, transaction layer, and then these things start to plug into it. So you can start to imagine walking into a metaverse environment where you can enter the DMV. We really, again, believe that individual metaverse pages are going to be the websites or landing pages of the future. We already have some things we're working on in beta behind the scenes, testing out metaverse environments. So you may contemplate walking into an athlete's brand store in the metaverse. You can contemplate walking into a government help desk in the metaverse, saving you $6 a gallon in gas, saving you waiting in line for government services. So really fun stuff that you can start to contemplate better government, serving citizens better while eliminating some of the fee loads and some of the equitability and access when you think about people taking off of their job to go and do this stuff. It's prohibitive. So we're trying to work on that as well. Certainly from the corporate side, you have this contextual commerce layer. So we are, working with guys like digital brokers to start to build out the real estate section. Ticketing by folks like Tickery, thinking about these sort of tokenized and or traditional transaction layers that sit underneath the search engine. You have as well creator accounts. So the one that I just showed you for, a client like Miles who wants to issue an NFT collection with a creator or publisher detail page. And then you have branded content activations and so on that can be done here as well. So again, establishing a full funnel, really studying what Web 2 platforms did for e-commerce and bringing it into Web 3 e-commerce, blockchain commerce. So the discovery layer, the main section, you go into the transaction layer, featured listings, buy, sell, trade, and tokenize, and then also a third-party registry, right? There is no GoDaddy really for NFTs right now or tokenized environments. So one of the things that we'll be working on with our partners is building out this highly decentralized, immutable, it's not owned by anyone, third-party registry that starts to catalog on blockchain. Okay, I sold this NFT to person Y. This was the cost. Are they making the IP available to the resale markets? Meaning, if you buy an NFT and has IP associated with it, where do you put out that, hey, this is available for licensing, the IP that I now own? If someone wants to rebuy that football or that jersey from you, how do they know that you own it? So I'm starting to really think through third-party registries that can catalog this behavior over time on the roadmap. So that's being built out behind the scenes as well on blockchain by our partners. And then certainly you have here your HUMBL wallet product and so on that will allow you to transact and verify on Web3. So it's a little bit of an eye popper of a chart, but this is what we're building, guys. This is our bet the balance sheet. We've really studied what people did in Web 2 to build centralized commerce, and now we're thinking about how we can build decentralized commerce for Web 3 in the decades to come. If you look at the search engine, this is DuckDuckGo. So again, we launched our search engine last month. We had about almost 2 million searches there last month. So you start to contemplate kind of this run rate as a case study. DuckDuckGo came out as sort of a Web 2 privacy engine in 2010, 2011 looks like. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of show you that these things do take time to build. They do not happen overnight. So again, I really just want to zoom out and have a long-term view on HUMBL, that we are trying to build an entirely new category of Web3. Very proud of our team that we're cranking out a wallet that's submitted to the app stores. We built a search engine that's up and running. We've got our first illustration today of the tokenized marketplace with Semi Radradra. So things are really falling into place, but I just want to caution that these things do take a long-term view, and that's how we see it here at HUMBL. So please just keep this in mind if you are a shareholder or intend to become one. And then just lastly, some housekeeping items. We update you on the patent stack here. So we got this verbiage from our patent attorney, so I won't even seek to replicate it, just so you have a view on it. But you even look back here to some of these things back to 2019, and you start to see some of these things starting to take shape even just today. So I'm just so proud and happy that we're able to start to deliver in full on some of the thesis that we've been building against for years. And certainly there'll be some small modifications to these things over time, as you see in the slides above. But in general, this thesis of giving people a way to discover a tokenized Web3, transact in value on top of it, and then start to categorize that and catalog it on blockchain is just an opportunity of a lifetime for me, just because I'm really keen to try to help build Web3 and excited that things that we've been contemplating in a modular and holistic way for years are now starting to come to form with some of the world's best athletes and our partners in different regions and so on. So wonderful opportunity there, and just so thrilled to be working on this with you all. So in summary, I've posted a blog entry. I do think we have one of the most well contemplated, if not the first, full funnel Web3 stack that's out there in the market. You see publications going, well, here's what a Web3 stack could look like, and it's 100 different partners and plugins and little flare-up projects that are trying to do their individualized corner of that. And we have a lot of respect for that, right? We even use some of them. But holistically, we've zoomed out and said, okay, if you look at what Web2 highly centralized big tech companies did, let's do a lot of the opposite here on Web3 while still contemplating a full funnel that our customers can very easily use and get into here at Humble. So you've got Web3, which should be decentralized and not owned by anybody. We're just contributors. Search 3, the engine, you start to look at some encrypted mail products and DM stuff and the .eth addresses that we're calling Mail 3. We have Humble here, so that's the use case layer and the marketplace layer. So Humble Wallet, Humble Marketplace, and then these really cool decentralized third-party rail systems and hybrid tokens that we believe, as our company thesis, will comprise Web3 and the tokenized economy. So that's what we're building here at Humble, and just can't wait to keep moving forward on it. Please send us any of your questions and feedback. And again, we'll be doing the Blockstock breakouts as well, so you all can have a view on that and more frequent communication and updates from the business. So thanks again. This concludes our Humble shareholder update here in July. But again, more little breakout stuff to come on Blockstock and things like that. And just really looking forward to being in more communication with you all as we hopefully start to round out this S1 process and move forward on this next fully reporting phase of our business. So thank you. Hope everybody's doing great, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.